You've been working for decades, but how do you know if you have saved enough for retirement? Let's talk to a retirement income specialist, Israel Pinto. He's the founder of Protected Retirement Savings. Israel, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, Spike. How are you?
I'm doing good, but this is a big question. I mean, what is the target number? I used to hear that number $1 million, but are we looking for a target number like that?
As a matter of fact, we're not. That's actually cookie cutter advice, Spike. I've spent 22 years of my life studying this, and it depends on the individual. I look at retirement not as accumulation, how much you've saved in that retirement account, but how does that translate into cash flow? What type of lifestyle do you want in retirement? How much cash do you need? What liabilities do you have, and so forth? So again, we can't take that cookie cutter advice. That's like going to the doctor and saying, I have a headache, and the doctor says, just take an aspirin. It just doesn't work that way. You've got to really understand your personal situation.
All right, so you individualize all of the plans, the strategies that you put together. There isn't something like, oh, here, this is what we do here. This is where you put your money. You need to have $750,000, $1 million. It's all tailored for each person?
Yeah, that's a great comment and question. Yeah, absolutely. We look at the individual, right? We've got a system and a process which is based on math and science called a retirement scorecard. We input the information. We get to know you on that first meeting that we have. It's called a discovery meeting. We discuss your personal situation, career goals that you've had throughout life, what that lifestyle needs to look like for you in retirement, and then we base it on your personal needs.
Okay. Now, I'm scratching my head here, literally thinking, how do you know how long somebody's going to live, how much money they're going to need? I mean, you don't have a crystal ball, do you? So do you have a standardized timeline where you take out plans to a certain time?
So I share this story with folks, right? We are living a lot longer than we had in the past. Most of the plans that have been put together are based on a 15 or 20-year retirement. We've got folks living 35 years. I do quite a bit of workshops in my career, but do 20 to 24 every year. And in every single workshop, there's at least 2 people out of the 40 who are going to live well into their 90s. So again, we've got to bank on you living that much longer. And I'll share this story. Most folks don't know this. The first Social Security recipient, Ida B. Miller, she retired in 1940. Her first Social Security check was in 1940. She ended up living to 1975. She lived 100 years. Okay, so we got to bank on that as well.
And what's amazing is that when Roosevelt actually talked about implementing Social Security back in 1935, what was the average life expectancy back in the 1930s?
It was 62. Yeah. They weren't planning on paying folks.
And the first person who took Social Security lived to the age of 100.
The irony behind that. How about it, Spike?
Yeah. Now, do you also take into account things like high inflation costs, taxes? How do you mitigate wanting and needing growth without taking too much risk?
It's a great question. So we have a program, and I use an acronym for it, and I call it LIMIT. So we're talking about longevity, liquidity, inflation, market risk, mortality, and taxes. So the system that we have, when it comes to the math and the science, we equate all of those factors in that system, right? So again, we want to make sure that a portion of your retirement is protected, right? Because again, it's all about cash flow when it comes to retirement. And I ask folks this every single time they come into my office or when I do a workshop. What is the most expensive day of the week for you folks? And they sit there and they think about it. It's Saturday, right? Because you go out shopping. And I tell folks in retirement, every day is Saturday.
I know. You've got 7 days a week where you're going to be going through that spending. Israel, thank you so much for answering this for us. Folks, it might be hard for you to figure out exactly what is your number for retirement. Well, why don't you sit down with a retirement income specialist who can help you do that math? You can actually get your own retirement scorecard. How prepared are you for retirement? Simply by calling the phone number. So you can sit down with Israel Pinto, the founder here of Protected Retirement Savings.